For more than 1400 years, the cycle of prayer and praise at St Paul's Cathedral has continued more or less uninterrupted. This is a building which has survived through the bubonic plague and through the English Civil War and through the dissolution of the monasteries, of which, about 700 institutions of its type didn't. It made it through the Protestant Reformation, and in fact was a key target during the Great London Blitz for Adolf Hitler, who saw it as absolutely key to British morale. It was closed for 4 consecutive days during the Blitz, when they had to disarm and remove a bomb and repair the minor damage that was done to the cathedral by the Blitz. So it's very, very rare that St Paul's Cathedral has been out of action for more than 4 days. I suppose you could count the time of it being sort of rebuilded between various buildings, but you usually find that services continued on the site where possible. I mean, for a long time before St Paul's Cathedral was complete, they used to have almost services in under the dome that wasn't there yet. So open air things have happened there before. Today I was very, very saddened to hear that the Dean Chapter of St Paul's Cathedral have decided to close the cathedral, and it's closing for the foreseeable future. And the reason it's closing is because there is a protest going on. This protest is a bit of a mockery, really, because it's a copycat protest of one in the US, which is actually doing far more it's far more sort of cohesive. This one is a bunch of people that are basically don't like capitalism, but they have no set aims, and their target, I suppose you could say, is the stock exchange, which is sort of across Paternoster Square from the cathedral. But they're camping out by the cathedral because they're not allowed there, and the cathedral, has been incredibly helpful to them. But now is the time for them to move on, and their refusal to do that is now putting St Paul's Cathedral's future in jeopardy, because it costs a lot of money to keep that building open. That's money that they don't get from the government, despite being an established church. They don't get anything from the government. They have to make it themselves, and of course it's hard to do that when you have more than 110 tents parked squashed into a tiny area on top of Ludgate Hill, right outside the cathedral. It puts off tourists, it puts off visitors, and it's got to the stage now where it's actually a health and safety hazard, because it's been there a week, and it's beginning to get slightly unpleasant. So one wonders how long this will last, and when someone will actually move on. The really sad thing about this, well, there's two sad things about this. The first sad thing is that pretty much nobody cares. There's a building that has served the community for 14 centuries, and people just don't care anymore. And it's a sign of how far this country has moved away from its Christian roots and has become secularised. Nobody cares, and many people would say, well, good, because it's a waste of money, or something stupid like that. The other thing that's sad is that the greedy bankers, the selfish people who are partly to blame for this protest, I suppose, in the way they've mismanaged capitalism to their own gain. The key there is being selfish. And it's the selfishness now of these protesters which is destroying the cathedral that I love. And in fact, I worked there for 2 years, and it's very, very sad. It's very heartbreaking, and I just sort of wanted to say that, you know, they ought to go. I'm sorry, but they ought to go, and they ought to have the decency to recognise that, you know, if without proper aims, there is no point in them being there. And, you know, they have made their point. Now they are endangering an institution that has nothing to do with capitalism at all. And them staying there, that's selfish, basically at the expense of the cathedral. And their whole idea is that they are campaigning against the selfishness of capitalism and the greed and the stuff like that. And here they are basically exploiting the cathedral and sort of killing it in a way. And it's dreadfully sad. It's really sad. And I hope something happens. You know, I hope something actually happens and they leave, because it's not that I don't understand their cause. It's that, frankly, the cathedral matters more.